So if we can grab our seats, we're going to begin, and we're going to have a conversation regarding biohacking, harnessing biology and technology for human augmentation. But before we dive into it, we're going to get to know our panelists. Starting with my right, Dr. Christina Rahm.
Hi, Dustin. Thank you.
And what do you do, Dr. Rahm?
So I'm a scientist, that's a nanobiotechnologist, and I work in 76 countries with nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, and different healthcare devices.
And also Gabriele.
And I am the father of evolutionary biohacking, so a step forward into biohacking. And I am the president of the Institute for Advanced Studies and Cooperation. So we get to see a lot of technologies, and I'm very happy to be here with Christina and at the Greek House. It's a great, great beginning.
So it's interesting, over the past 2 days now, I've been having conversations regarding artificial intelligence, different types of technologies, and it seems to be this new intersection of people starting to get to know themselves. And while we've always lived with ourselves, now we seem to be more interested in life extension or quality of life. So Dr. Rahm, talk about the quality of life. You travel around the world, you're meeting with governments, you're meeting with key decision makers. And this quality of life and this extension, why is it so important now, and why not 10 years ago or 30 years ago?
So as a scientist, I work with DRC Ventures and the Root Brands, and we have formulations that I have patents around which regenerate the human body and the land, air, and water. That's really important because you have to regenerate your body physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in every way. And I feel like we've really come to a forefront because we used to talk about just physically how do we live to be 130, which is important, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, it now is important as well. And I think that's the evolution that's happened. Like, there's been a lot of bad things that happened in the last 3 to 4 years, but there's been a lot of great things too. If you look at life now, we understand, okay, you can live to be 130, but do you feel happy? Do you look happy? And are you at your best? Because it's not just if you can live a long life. It's if you can live a healthy, great life in all areas and quadrants and not just physically. That's changed a lot over the last couple of years.
Now, is this something that you've come to determine, or has this been a kind of your own life and practicing what we say, like what you preach?
I think it's been a little bit of both, to be honest, of my own life and what's happening. There are a lot of people in this world, I think you both agree, because I know you both pretty well, that think that it's just physically can I live to be 130. But I've worked with a lot of prime ministers, presidents, famous people like Gabriele and the Vatican. I could go on and on. At the Root Brands and DRC, I get the opportunity to work with governments and people that talk to me. And the more I've worked with them, the more I've started understanding their first priority is living a longer life. So they do care about the fact that I have patents that regenerate the human body, but they also really want to be happy. So I want to be happy. Like, the older I'm getting, the more I realize I only have so many more years in my life, so I really want these years to be good years emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So it's a combination.
And over to you.
Well, that's very interesting. Yes, life expectancy has been pushing forward. So we're looking at 130 as a possible life rate. So everything has changed in that perspective. It's and there is so much we can do, and we're able to understand now, like our body, it's made 90% of the microbiome. We really, up to 5 years ago, when we were talking about the microbiome and the holobiome that surrounds us, and it connects us to the ground, to everything that is around us, people were not really thinking about it. Now we know it's so important, and it connects everyone. And it's even before, you meet a person, you say, oh, there is chemistry, but the chemistry really is the microbiome start exchanging information. So even before, you have this sensation, oh, do I like this person or do I not like this person? But there is a microbiome there. And as we know more about how our function, we are able to have people like Christina developing new science and developing new supplements to really, make it possible to live a better life and to be happy towards, the end of your life, because you want to live a good life. And this is, also it's also what it's moving us. It's just not matter about making incredible things. It's about making those things work for a better life, work for us. So this is what is evolutionary biohacking, and this is why it was so important for me in 2019 to put down a manifesto of evolutionary biohacking and say, okay, we came this far, but now we have to move a step forward. Before we were just focusing on on making life expectancy longer. Now we're focusing on making it better.
So then, Dr. Rahm, why haven't we been able to, with all the world's minds, cure things like cancer or autism? Why isn't Big Pharma solving these problems? I mean, they have unlimited resources for the most part. They get government grants and they can get more money, printed money. Why isn't this something we're focused on?
So I've been involved in bioprinting projects and cloning and human monoclonal antibodies, a lot of things where we are able to correct what's going on with health. The issue is we have an environment that's toxic. So as we've evolved as a society and as a world, we have all these toxins that are everywhere and they go into our body and our body can't process it. So we can bioprint a brain. We can bioprint an arm. We've been able to do that for years. It's very possible. You can clone animals. You can clone human beings. This is not like a surprise in science, and at Harvard or Oxford, people understand that. But how do you clone something that never gets sick when the environment's sick? How do you clone something when viruses are mutating quickly and bacteria and fungus and parasites are growing all over the world? You clone someone, but how do you make them better? You can't always do it when your environment around you is not conducive. So I'll give you an example. When there's snow and ice outside and you have a car, and you leave the car outside, then it gets rusty and you run it. So you may have the most beautiful Maserati or Tesla, but if you leave it outside in the environment, then it's not as nice. The paint's not as good. It doesn't look as good. The human body's the same way. We haven't figured out yet as a world, as human beings, how to really preserve our environment and take care of each other. So I understand AI. I understand augmenting different things and making them better. But we have to also start with understanding this world is ours. We have to love it. We have to take care of it, or we will keep getting sick. We have 70% more cancer now and depression in this world than we had before, year after year. It's compounding. Yet, you're right, we have more advancements. I've worked in biotech and pharma almost throughout my entire career. So what has happened? What has happened is we haven't looked deep down to realize that while we're cloning, while we're bioprinting, we're still not taking care of our environment, and we're spiritually not connecting. A leaf on a tree has the same DNA that we have. We've got to understand that. So we're connected to our environment in our world. We have to protect it, and we have to find solutions all around us and not just make new things.
And we share in the same microbiome. So it's,
yes.
We're really connected to everything that surrounds us.
So I was talking to Prince Albert of Monaco earlier today. We were talking about these environmental initiatives that Monaco's leading the charge on in the world of marine life, kind of protecting the oceans. Some of us might recall that during COVID, when we couldn't travel, that the waters in Venice became clear and beautiful. And around the world, certain wildlife started to return. It was as if the earth had said, thank you for this reset. How do you see it, Professor?
Well, as I said, the microbiome is all around us. We have to make an impact, but it's not just about finding the right solution. It's also applying the right solution. And this is another point that's very important with evolutionary biohacking. And it's you see it's a great opportunity also. We have to make an impact. We can't just talk about things. We're doing things. But then again, today, I'm really happy to announce here at the Greek House that we are launching the HIT Malaria project. HIT, it's a new technology. It's holographic information transfer technology, and we're launching, a malaria project. We have great trials and great results through, a non-invasive technology. We can cure malaria in 1 week, and that's amazing. But now, we have to go through all the process, and we have to implement it, and we have to get it out there. So again, it's great. We got a great break. Somehow, everything is a problem, but it becomes the solution. So we saw what happens when we stop, and we stay home. But in the meantime, we also have the problems running around. So it's not just about, the planet becoming in the lagoon, becoming greener, but then we have some other problems that we are paying right now as far as, yeah.
So let's dive into that. So how much of this then becomes really generational, Dr. Rahm? You look behind you, at least left shoulder, right? It's his story or your dad's story all the way back and your mom. How much of his story is in our code to begin with?
So we each have a genetic code, and we have also epigenetics. And unfortunately, the environment unlocks epigenetics. And one of the things I do as a scientist as far as biohacking is trying to get the body not to unlock a negative epigenetic that can cause an autoimmune disorder or a disease. That's been one of the focuses of my life. To do that, I help the environment and people detoxify or clean and then support its own body. I say this all the time. A virus can mutate, but we're the stronger species. Like, we're human beings. We can mutate too, but we have to work cohesively together to do it. Generationally, a mother has passed the toxins in the environment and her toxins onto the child. So while a mother thinks she's protecting her baby, all the heavy metals, nuclear waste, pollution, 5G, everything is going into that baby. So we've become generationally, honestly, worse, despite the advancements that we have. So you could lose your arm and you could bioprint your arm, but what are you doing for the rest of your body? If an epigenetic is unlocked because your mother passed on a gene and then environmental factors that cause that to happen in your life, you can't necessarily stop it. You have to work on your own body every day because it's something that we can help ourselves with, but we have to focus on. But it is a generational thing. We've gotten worse, if I'm honest, from a healthcare perspective. And I want to tag on to what Gabriele said. We will always have to have advancements for like malaria, for breast cancer, for different things, because this genetic code that was passed on to us also has trash inside. I'm so sorry to say that. There's some trash that comes along with the good that's passed on, and we've got to get rid of it so that we don't keep getting sick and we're stronger than viruses and bacteria and parasites, etc.
There is something else about the history. It's the first document the Congress got regarding the land and the depletion of the land is dated 1932. So back then, they were already saying, the land is getting depleted. There are not enough nutrients inside, the food we're eating. So going 80 years back, forward, now we got, food that we perceive as food that is good for us, but it's not really good for us anymore. So it's also, I'm saying something that may shock someone, but in the Western civilization, we're dying more of obesity than of starvation. So we have to rethink the way we really look at food and the way we understand reality around us.
So I'm going to dive into that. When he just said obesity, so are they putting something in the food to make it taste better, to make it more addictive? I mean, asking for a friend.
Yeah, so GMOs and pollution and nuclear waste and everything, it's everywhere. Like, even if you're in Europe and they ban a GMO, it travels, right? And when you put, I'll use an example. You bring in food here, if it's been brought in from another area, even if that food had vitamins and minerals, you spray it with pesticide and different things, it can be organic, but you just ruined the DNA of the food. And then you're putting it in your body. I just launched a weight loss product called Sculpt, and I did it with natural ingredients. I sourced them from Africa and from India and from Australia and from all over the world. One of the main ingredients was actually from Greece, and my focus was to find products and the seeds of products that hadn't been exposed. It was very, very hard to make, very hard to source, and I would say one of my biggest challenges as a scientist is finding things that have the nutrients and minerals, so we test them. Do you know that a lot of the vitamins and minerals and herbs I'm testing right now are full of like lead and mercury and aluminum? So I have a process where I'll actually clean it. And I'm bringing this up not to scare everyone, but I want everyone to be really aware. I worked on the product because of the fact that people's insulin levels are up. Diabetes is up. They're obese because of what they're putting in their body, the foods, and even sometimes the vitamins they're taking. So this is a major challenge, and we have to be honest with each other, and we have to find solutions. We really, really do.
And I see you shaking your head over there.
No. I'm saying yes. That's the way we have to go, and it's great. The work you're doing in research and finding these products. And this is what is evolutionary biohacking about. It's about really searching the old field with learning machine, trying to understand what is out there that we can use and we can, that has been implemented and we can mix. And we also, working also on nanodots this year. There was a Nobel Prize for the use of nanodots of quantum mechanics. And so we're now, launching our own device that can get rid of, metals in your body through, a non-invasive bracelet like we did for malaria. So nanodots are a great, investment in the future. There's a lot of technology. The problem is to have a technology that it's stable. We are one of the few, companies that has that kind of technology. But we want to share because I think there is so much to do. It's like, the work with Christina and the work of Root. It's, that they're putting out their stuff that it's, that benefits everyone. So when it's out there, we can, really feel better.
So moving on now to the world kind of this technology. You can, 23andMe, you can get to know who you are. You can get to know what's in your code, yet many of us have not gone down that path for some reason. We can find that certain things might trigger our bodies. Why isn't this becoming more well known? Why are people so hesitant?
So another thing that just was launched, or actually I want to talk to Gabriele about it later, and you, Dustin, but we launched a genetic test, DRC Genetics, which we're looking at everything from like, can your body process carbs? Can you eat grapes, right? What is your best blood type? What should you do? How should you work out? How should you live? What should you wear? It's like a 50-page document which tells you about you. But I will say this, going back to what Gabriele said about the nanodots, those are very important, but they have to be stabilized, right? So a lot of your genetic testing is not as accurate as we would wish it would be. So I think there's been a hesitancy. Secondly, I can tell you I'm from the United States and I love my country, but they're not going to pay to make sure that you have the best code or you have the best nanotechnology to help yourself, right? A lot of this is individual. And so human beings have got to accept it's on you to have the best life possible, to wear a bracelet that tells you what's going on, to take the right products, to be able to do different things with genetics. The government, as great as the governments are, they're never going to take care of you, Dustin, for example, or Gabriele or me. We have to take it upon ourselves to make those decisions and try to find out what's inside of us and what we can do. You're not going to have a government probably come in and pay for the technology with malaria all the time. Hopefully you do, Gabriele, because that's something that you want and we need. But ultimately, people are going to have to fund this on their own. And I think it's something, all of us here are, I can't say I'm highly intelligent, but I would say 90%, 99% of the people in this room are highly intelligent. So they're going to have to accept this is on you, this is on me. We have to make these decisions.
But isn't it that always? I mean, it's always on us. We make choices all the time, and it's our choice to go in the right direction, to invest time to understand how our body works, because really it's also about performance. When we study someone and when you know so much about yourself and you have the capability of knowing so much about yourself, but it also you can have a medicine that improves your performance, so you'll be more productive, you get less sick, you become a better value for yourself. So I think it's really worth it to invest, and that's why the market is going up so much. I mean, it's a great segment to invest because people are start realizing that they can do more, and it's this environment, like even Davos now, we have all these things to do, and then in the meantime we're chatting on our phones and watching the market and doing all these things and connecting in all ways. But if we don't have our, body functioning well, if we don't have our mind functioning well, we're not able to process all this information.
So Elon Musk has been working on a company for a number of years to tap into the brain, to hack it, ultimately. And I'm envisioning one day we will be here on stage and someone will be speaking Portuguese and another person, and we're listening to each other as if they're speaking to us in our language. Every time I talk to you, Dr. Rahm, I get to hear that our body is this recipe. That inside of us, it's either this recipe for success or this recipe for failure. So how can we change things if we've been born into an environment? And I won't name specific countries in the world, but some countries, they say, look at my backyard, how am I supposed to make a difference? How can I change anything? Recycling, where I am in the States, we recycle. Yet you can pull up pictures of the ocean that I learned along the way where the ocean is filled with garbage. So how do we make that impact when the only person we have control over ultimately is ourselves?
So this is going to sound, you're probably going to think I'm saying this because I'm a female and I'm a mother of 4, but I'm saying this honestly as a psychologist, doctor, and scientist. You have to love yourself. It's really on you. You have to take care of your own body. We're responsible. I tell people when I give talks, I'm like you all, I've worked all over the world and I give talks a lot. And I say to people in prominent positions, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love myself. I'm here. There's only one me. I always say we're imperfect pieces to a perfect puzzle, but there's only one you. So you have to love yourself. I have to practice that too. There's days I don't love myself. I can't empower myself. And I didn't have a perfect family. You didn't. None of us did. But it's on us to make the decisions so that we can have the best life possible. And so we can work together for good. We know that our cells talk. This is a fact. So our cells communicate through the air just like a virus would communicate. We can feel each other's energy. Another thing I'd like people to know is you need to surround yourself with good people. Because if you don't, you're surrounding yourself with negative energy, and that's going to imprint upon you. So you got to make the right decisions. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I have to make changes in my life almost every day, and I continuously strive to be better, but we all have to. So it's just one of those things. You can change your life, but you have to work at it.
So it sounds like it's a mindset. It starts with you making that decision. You want to add to this?
Well, it's a circular, it's a circular energy. I mean, it's your body talking to you. So you take care of your body. Your thoughts change, and as your thoughts are changing, your body is getting better. One thing, when I start following a certain kind of diets, and I take care of my microbiome. Now, what I was saying before, that we're constituted by 90% by viruses, fungus, and the microbiome. It's this incredible alien that is living inside us, and we have, it communicates with our mind, and it's all around us. And the wonderful thing is that if you start thinking about yourself as a community, that you have to take care of, and that they'll take care of yourself, because if you treat well your microbiome, now there are certain foods that I'm not craving that food anymore, because microbiome, it knows what it wants. So I'm not craving, sugar, for instance. I cut it out of my diet. I cut out, all the fruits, but that's, my decision, because they're really depleted and they're just, sugar bombs. It's like candy. It really changes the way you're perceiving yourself, and then it changes the way you're perceiving society. So then you want to do things that are good. And this is, what brought me really near Christina and Ruth. That is, you have a mission. Then you become the mission. You become really what you want to do, but you are also physically what you want to do. And it's really, really engaging. It's really beautiful.
So then how much of this is in nature that can solve these problems? Hopkins, Johns Hopkins, which is my backyard, they're doing studies on mushrooms.
So I actually 90% of everything I work on now is natural, and I'm from a world of cloning and bioprinting and biotechnology, but I'm trying to hack things naturally because I think it's so important. I believe almost everything is here, but we have to figure out how to use it and not use synthetics. So like most of the things I work on right now, I don't add preservatives, I don't add additives, and I just had a question today. Clayton asked me, Christina, in the weight loss, did you add additives? I said no, and he said, but you have to, or all these other companies do, and I just won't. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to add additives, and I want to take naturally what we have to change and biohack who we are so we can be the best we can.
And I think technology comes into the picture where now we can make a product living, 3 times longer life shelves through the nanotechnologies. So we're really changing also how the industry is looking at, preservatives, in the way, and making stuff more shelf life. So I think, we're merging, with the idea of using natural stuff and, super, new technologies to make, new products for the good of everyone.
He's so right. I'm so glad you brought this up, because when I tell people that I went to Harvard postgraduate in nanobiotechnology, they're like, wait a minute, so you're like into nuclear war and GMOs? And I'm like, no, I went to study how to take those things out of our bodies naturally, and I went back to study how do we use natural things instead of using synthetics. How do we use different energy levels, magnets, polarization, and naturally to enhance instead of hurt our bodies and our world? And so I'm so glad you brought that up, because people get very confused. Yeah. Because they Google nanodots or nanobiotechnology and they don't understand. Yeah.
Well, it's also, it's so funny because we were getting ready to publish our app in Regenesis app into Apple, and they asked us, well, who else is doing that? And we said, well, nobody in the world is, so we cannot give you an example. So this is how far we went. We're really breaking grounds and merging with the science and someone that's using all natural stuff. It's just bringing nanodots to a new step. It's really exciting to be here, and I'm glad.
So as we are now down to 3 minutes, what are you learning today, Dr. Rahm?
I think that I'm learning today that, each day can be a better day if we focus on who we are. We can take natural things and work in this world if we work together, which is why I think it's so important in countries to work, whether you're in Africa or India or the United States, to really work together for progress, as well as not being jealous of other people's technology. One of the issues is if Gabriele has a technology and I don't, then I want mine to be better. It shouldn't be that way. If we're going to advance society and the world and humans, we share. And that's what I've learned, I think, really the most over the last year of my life.
And same for you. Out this.
Totally. Just today we were speaking about our technology and the fact that the start, every time we bring something out, the start, a lot of people start copycatting and making it, worse version and just, making fool out of themselves, but they fool the market. So we get a bad name maybe, because our product works, but somebody comes in with something similar, or they say it's similar and it's not stable and it doesn't work. And what I say, it's always, I try to reach out and say, why don't you use our technology? We're here to share. We're here to grow together. Don't go out and try to scam people, because in the very end, you ruin yourself and you ruin the image of, the work of so many good people. It's like, I think we really should share and we really should care. And this is why the HIT project came together, and we just, we want to give away the cure for malaria, and we want to share it. It cost us a lot of money, a lot of research. It's 17 years in research in the nanodot technology, but we are willing to give it away to governments and to people just because we want to, share something good, and we wanted to leave a legacy, and we want to.
And how can we learn more about your institute?
Well, just, go in the internet, use technology. And then, it's the Institute for Advanced Studies and Cooperation, or you go on the internet and you write HIT malaria, which is HIT for holographic information transfer malaria, or it's also an acronym for HIT malaria. So. So you can tap in. We would love to share. We'd love to to work together. Thank you.
And final words from Dr. Rahm.
People can find me at drchristinarahm.com or the Root Brands. We have about 17 companies that are working to collaborate all over the world with people like Gabriele and governments and societies. I just want to say this. I know that we can have advancements as long as we do this as a team. I love what you guys are doing to give back. We give back as well through our foundations. And I just think we have to continue to learn and grow together and to work together.
Well, I also want to publicly thank you, Christine, because we do the World Changes Summit, and we try to bring the best minds inside the Vatican every year. And Sir Dustin is with us many times, and we're very happy to co-host the event. And Christine has been very supportive. So it's not just talking, they're doing it. And if you look at the wall, there is Root there. And so we're very happy to share and support each other.
Thank you to our panelists and to all of you. And that's a wrap. Thanks again, everybody.